28 Indy cars are ready at Phoenix. He led 151 laps here last. In Australia. Large entry of cars here of those who did not qualify. David Kudrave and Johnny Unser. Mark Smith was in an accident that kept him overnight in the hospital, but he was withdrawn as a result of that accident. Now, a very special spectator and race fan here today. He's with Gary.
Indeed. You never know who you'll find at an IndyCar race. Here's George Harrison of the Beatles. I know you're a great race fan for many years and a special interest in Emerson Fittipaldi today.
Yeah, hi, Gary. Yeah, I like Emerson. He's been an old friend of mine for 20 years or so. And it's the first time I've seen an oval race, so it's quite interesting.
I think you're going to really enjoy it. Hang on to your hat.
Okay. All right. See you there.
George Harrison seeing his first oval race. We're ready for that great command. Let's go to the front row of the starting grid.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Here we go. The engines come to life. Let's set the field for you.
Checking now up and down the line as the pole sitter Paul Tracy looks ahead, contemplating the start. There are 5 former winners in this field. Nearly a third of the field are taking their first green flag in an IndyCar at Phoenix. Raul Boesel sits ready. There's Stefan Johansson and Adrian Fernandez. Look at the giant crowd as the balloons drift across the straightaway here and making his last start here. So many memories for Mario Andretti. So at Phoenix, we are ready to go racing. We'll be back with the start right after this. Rolling on the parade laps here at Phoenix. There are some other very special stories here today. Let's go again to Gary Gerald.
The learning curve for Honda and their entry to IndyCar has been extremely tough. They knew it would be, but they're disappointed that they're starting 20 and 22nd today with Mike Groff and Bobby Rahal. The problem, horsepower, the lack of it on the ovals. They're down 10 miles per hour here in straightaway speed, but they're confident. Bobby Rahal says our goal today is to finish in the top 6.
A young man we want to keep our eye on is Jimmy Vasser. Jimmy finished 4th in the opening round in Australia. He finished 3rd here last year. He's been among the quickest in all the testing leading up to this race. He qualified 11th. They had handling problems, but look for Jimmy Vasser to move to the front.
All right, as the field begins the pace lap now, here's what's on the line. The race record held at 138 miles an hour. And the pit stop probably should hit in at about the 64th lap, but of course that depends on the yellow flags. And there is what the track looks like. That little dog leg close to you, we're looking from the backside over to the front, is what can be so difficult. Now the field begins to align itself. You can see them there. The front 3 rows are already well aligned. And the pole sitter, Paul Tracy, his first oval pole, looking very strong this season, looking for a championship. But look alongside him, Jacques Villeneuve. By the way, the pronunciation has changed at the request of Jack himself and of other members of his teams. I know we've been calling his uncle Jacques Villeneuve for years, but this is the way we do it. Off of the fourth turn, they look for the green flag. Jim Swintal has it. And we'll see if he gives it to the field as they come down. They look nicely aligned here. 200 miles lie ahead as the green comes out. Paul Tracy sweeps across the front. Nigel Mansell comes up into the second row. Nigel moves into second place. 3 wide as they come off of the corner.
And you can see that Villeneuve, the lack of experience, he backed right off. But Bozell was one of those who got a superb start.
As Tracy flashes across the line, this is the first time since 1988 that the pole sitter has actually led the first lap. So it's Tracy, followed by Nigel Mansell, and then Villeneuve, and then the second Penske car of Emerson Fittipaldi. Al Unser Jr. is working his way up through the field, so is Robbie Gordon.
Tracy last year was in total control of this race, and he threw it all away trying to lap back markers. He has matured, he tells us, because it is so easy to make mistakes here because the speeds are so high. He'll be in traffic before too long.
Remember the accident in final practice yesterday. The video originally looked very much like this as Villeneuve began to challenge Mansell. Now it's a fight for second place on the race course. Villeneuve is a rookie, so is Mansell at this track.
Villeneuve rebuilt this car. They were not that happy with the other spare car that they brought here, so the work went into trying to build the car that he was confident with, because you need confidence on a racetrack like this. Look how close he is still to Mansell.
Villeneuve looking for the opportunity now. Over to the front side again. Fittipaldi patiently waits, running in fourth place. Mario Andretti is fifth. Teo Fabi sixth. Robbie Gordon seventh. Now he's stuck right up in the back. Villeneuve darts to the inside, lets him know that he's there. Through 3, through 4. Laps being turned here at just over 20 seconds a lap.
There's the traffic. Jeff Andretti in the Euro Motorsports car backed by Gillette for this event moves over and lets the leaders through.
5 laps. 5 laps, and the leaders are already overhauling the back of the field. That's another reason they call him a bull ring.
Look what happened there. The traffic allowed Mansell to draw out 5 or 6 car lengths on Villeneuve, but we'll see when he close back up. There's Mario.
Mario Andretti, he runs in 6th place. The next car in the lineup is actually Teo Fabi, the bright yellow car, so Mario is already happy. Now Robbie Gordon has moved in. There's Teo. Robbie Gordon got around Teo. As Teo begins to slow a little bit, looks like Teo got caught up in traffic. So Robbie Gordon in the Valvoline car now comes up into 6th place.
And it was Jeff Andretti who was caught in the mix there. He didn't know whether to go high or to go low. He stayed in the middle, and they went round both sides. There's little Al, has not had a very good weekend here so far.
Al Unser Jr. has been struggling. He now runs in 8th place behind Scott Goodyear and tries to challenge Scott. The leader, shades of last year, remains Paul Tracy. He led 151 laps here, only to end his day against the wall.
Probably a bit of a surprise to most people that Al Jr. really did not start heavily in Australia and has struggled here this weekend. Al Jr. is a slow starter. He likes to build up confidence in this car before he begins to push it. So, as of yet, he has not begun to hang it out.
Al Unser Jr., though, has finished 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th in the last 5 years. Is this time for a first? As he tiptoes his way up through the field. Whoa.
Look at Scott Goodyear, qualified 10th, wasn't happy. The stagger grew way too much on the inside of that car during qualifying, which meant it gave him tremendous amounts of understeer, and he qualified slower than he had hoped.
Battle for 5th place as Robbie Gordon now closes on Mario Andretti. Mario, the Texaco car there. He has a red roll bar. Look at this. Nigel Mansell comes up and very quickly overhauls Paul Tracy. He has now won every race computed on a 1-mile track. Let's see if he can do it with this win here today.
Well, so he took 2 or 3 or 4 laps to settle everything down, but he has dragged Villeneuve along with him. So is Tracy slowing down, having shown tremendous pace in those opening 3 or 4 laps.
Is he showing patience now? Is this a new Tracy that knows that he doesn't have to lead in the early going?
Well, showing patience and slowing down are two different things here. Emerson comes down under Villeneuve.
Emerson tries on Villeneuve, doesn't get the job done, but he's right there and beginning to worry, the young Canadian. 23 years old yesterday. Currently running in third place. Then Fittipaldi, then Gordon. You saw all of them together.
And of course, everybody expected Michael Andretti to be the leader in the new Reynard camp on these ovals, but it was Villeneuve who Barry Green speaks so highly of for his engineering ability and feel for this car at such a tender young age. He said a definite star of the future.
Now everybody at the front of the field having to overhaul the back of the field. One of the problems, you're getting a hint of it here. It is very windy. In fact, there are gusty wind warnings in the Valley of the Sun, the Phoenix area, and it's been blowing debris and sand onto this racetrack.
Look at Villeneuve. Now, he said after qualifying his biggest problem will be dealing with traffic. He has never had to do this before in cars this big and this fast, so he is on a huge learning curve here, but I'll tell you what, he is learning fast.
Back onto the main stretch. As he continues to hold off a charging Emerson Fittipaldi. On Beacus, you have an update on Villeneuve.
Well, yes, we do. We speak with Barry Green, and he gave us a thumbs up. He said it looks like all the work we did till the late hours last night had paid off. He's happy with the car. Right now, as you're talking about, he's gaining lots of experience at the front.
Now this, despite the fact that they don't have all the poke, how high he gets there and then chops off the corner. Nice piece of driving, just keeping the car off the wall and staying in front of Fittipaldi. They don't have all the pieces on this car they would have liked. They had some special pieces for here at Phoenix, and they were damaged in that crash.
Now that move there that you just saw by Jacques Villeneuve shows the confidence he has in the car. He pulled high round the outside of John Paul in the Team Losi car and had the confidence that that car had the grip all the way around the outside. Very brave move. We're with Robbie Gordon now.
Fifth place car, looking forward.
That's John Paul
Jr. just in front of him, and here comes little Al.
So Al made the move. He had the patience, he stayed and he waited, but look at Gordon round the outside.
Oh, as they split the difference, little Al holds the position, stays in fifth place. Boy, these are great races.
This is what you get on oval track racing. Traffic and high speed, almost freeway trains running down through here. But Al Jr. has made the pass now. He's in clear air. Can he catch up to that leading pack? He's currently in fifth place.
Paul Tracy just ticked off his 19th lap. Nigel Mansell came across as the leader on lap 19. So we've had two leaders here in the first 20 miles. First Paul Tracy and then Nigel Mansell taking over. Tracy's running the fastest laps thus far, averaged about 157 miles an hour, but his quickest lap has been at 166.7.
There's teammates. Robbie Gordon on the high side of Woody T. Ribs. Eric Walker said they had a big leash on Robbie Gordon this weekend because there's been a lot of damage done. But on a 1 mile oval, his best position, best finish so far, has been fourth at Nazareth.
Not yet made a podium finish. Robbie Gordon and Jim Vassar. Keep an eye on that number 18 car. He has been solid in the first two races. Well, we're in the second race, but he was solid in the practice for this one and had a great showing in Australia. He was third here last year. Mario Andretti, he continues to run, but he's falling through the field now ninth. Gary Gerald, is there a problem?
Apparently there is. They think that there's low tire pressure on one of the tires, and that's what Mario has radioed into the crew. The man in his 42nd start here at Phoenix finding some early difficulty. I don't know if they're going to have to bring him in early. They'll hope for a yellow. They can get a chance to get to the pits, Paul.
Low tire pressures may mean only 1 or 2 pounds. These cars are so sensitive. On the Penskes, the drivers can feel ride height changes of 25 thousandths of an inch.
In third place, it's two teammates. Paul Tracy in second, Fittipaldi in third, followed by Villeneuve. There's Fittipaldi as he runs alone right now, but Villeneuve has been moving up, challenging from moment to moment, and then drops back. Take a look at the back of the cowling of that car. We'll tell you a bit more about this later. The new shark fin on the new Penske's has some aerodynamic effect on the car, though, as Gary Gerald will tell you a little bit later. They're not talking very much about it, and everybody just has to guess. Now Fittipaldi closes on Tracy. And Tracy may be trapped. No, Fittipaldi can't get it done. They both move to the outside.
That's Machusta. He moves down to the inside, and the biggest problem for Fittipaldi is Machusta can see Tracy. Fittipaldi hopes that he also sees him, because if he goes for the gap, Machusta better just stay exactly where he is, which he did.
Remember Paul Tracy, that great race in New Hampshire last year with Mansell? He's finished second and third in the last 2 oval races. This is the fight for second, and look who they're overhauling. That's Bobby Rahal, Honda Power. He runs 18th. His teammate is 17th, just ahead of him, Mike Roth. Any idea what the Honda problem might be as we watch them there? They're still in development?
Well,
on horsepower.
There is no doubt it is very short on horsepower. They are in a huge development period at the moment. Remember, it took 6 years just to get them into IndyCar racing. They understand what it takes to build a competitive engine, but it shows you how difficult this series is. The might of Honda struggles so much even at this early stage.
And a car up against the wall. We've got our first yellow on lap 27. Field, boy, look at him trying to chop through. A couple people got debris. That's Willie T. Ribbs. Willie T. is a rookie at this track, and I don't think he was comfortable with this track. He's looking around in the cockpit, so it appears that he's okay. Now he climbs out. The field will slow. The yellow comes out on leader lap 28.
One of the drivers who had a very looser oversteer condition all weekend here and never quite got comfortable. So yet another one of Derek Walker's cars. Remember, Mark Smith had a heavy crash, but Mansell takes the opportunity to come into the pit lane.
Under the yellow, the leader of the race, car 1. Red number 1 now. Nigel Mansell comes in. And the rest of the field stays out and is gathered up. That'll put Paul Tracy. And
he stalls it.
He stalls it. They've got to get him back now. He's going to lose the position. He may lose the lap.
Now there's the gamble beginning to run away from him. He took the gamble. Mario's in. Villeneuve passes him.
And look at this. There comes the lead of the race around. Tracy and Fittipaldi behind the pace car. The blend line's going to be real important. How is that situated here, Derek?
Well, you'll see it right now. As you come back out onto line, on the back straight, if you're ahead of the blend line before the pace car gets around, you can filter into the line, as Villeneuve does right there. Now, Fernandez, if he'd have moved up, Villeneuve would have to keep going all the way back. So you depend on a bit of professional courtesy. You know, when you're the leading cars in the races, you tend to get more professional courtesy.
All right, Mansell stalls on that pit stop. Piece of strategy being played there. Let's get an update.
Well, what happened, Paul, was Tom Wirtz was at the front of the car trying to put another turn into the front wing. He had radioed in, he wanted more downforce on the front, but yet he was anxious to get out. So Tom jumped in front, tried to go for a turn. Nigel was a little too anxious and then killed it.
So the field now circulating behind Johnny Rutherford, the driver of the PPG pace car. Nigel Mansell took a chance, dropped through the field. Of course, it may pay off later. He's right now being scored in 12th place. Back at the Slick 5200 Phoenix International Raceway, under our first yellow of the day, the leader, Paul Tracy, has completed 32 laps. And here's the way they're lined up behind the pace car under the yellow. You ride on board with Michael Andretti, who is not having his best day. He is a lap behind the leader, running in 14th place. The first 9 cars, that's through Jimmy Vasser in the order, are on the lead lap. But because of that blend line, people like Bobby Rahal, Villeneuve, Mansell are a lap behind the leader. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Interesting strategy in the Penske pit, Paul. Roger Penske, with 3 cars, of course, elects to bring in Al Unser Jr., a 10-second stop for fuel and 4 tires. They've left both Tracy and Fittipaldi out there now. It's a bit of a gamble, but we'll see if they get another opportunity before lap 64 to duck in.
All right, well, as you look at Roger Penske, they're always innovative and work with it. Along with the new chassis and engines entering the field for the '94 season, Gary Gerald explores how some teams are making additional aerodynamic improvements.
Since the start of the racing season in Australia, the new Penske chassis has undergone an intriguing revision with the addition of this vertical shark-like fin that's been incorporated into all of the rear bodywork. Now, for obvious reasons, designer Nigel Bennett's a little reluctant to talk about its specific purpose, but here's what he has told us. It was first introduced into the wind tunnel in December. It has undergone private testing on a limited basis by the Penske team, but based on those tests, they've made a decision that they're going to incorporate this rear bodywork at all future racing events, including super speedways and road courses. As for the specific purpose, we've got to rely on the speculation of other aerodynamicists and engineers from opposing race teams. Because of a rules change this year that's eliminated some of the downforce in the new chassis, the cars have had a tendency to become a little twitchy, particularly in the corners. The other engineers think that this fin helps stabilize the car and allows it to track better and more effectively through the corner. The other theory prevails with the air that rushes back over the cockpit is spoiled here by the driver's head and comes tumbling back. They think that this fin splits the air into two smaller forces to get more effective downforce from the rear wing. That's the speculation and the conjecture. Now we're about to find out in competition if the Penske team has indeed uncovered a true speed secret.
Well, I think Rick Mears and the Penske team may have figured something out. At the moment, at least, their cars run first and second with Paul Tracy as the leader of the race. We're still under yellow. The IndyCar safety team and the track workers are here out trying to get the mess cleaned up from Willie T. Ribbs' crash. He climbed out of the car. He is okay, but we continue under yellow with 37 laps into the record book as we look down from the Goodyear Blimp Eagle based in Carson, California. Today's pilot is John Creighton, who lives in Redondo Beach. It gives you some great shots as it floats so lazily in this bright blue sky over Phoenix International. Now, let's try and set the way they are lined up, remembering that some people have stopped and some have not. They're the first 6 positions. Of those, Al Unser Jr. has made a stop. Now notice here, once you get to Rahal, after 9th place Jimmy Vasser, everybody is a lap behind the leader, including some key names like Villeneuve in 11th and Mansell in 12th. Everybody else is a lap behind the lead, so that will become critical. But here's the other side of the story. Paul Tracy, Emerson Fittipaldi, Robbie Gordon, Dominic Dobson, Mike Groff, the guys at the top of the order, have not yet stopped. They're gambling that something else will happen then, Derek.
That's right. That's why it will be another probably 20 or 25 laps worth of fuel. Bozell obviously decides to make his stop and comes back out in the Duracell Dick Simon entry. But there's about 20 more laps of fuel left in those Penskes. Then this whole pit stop scenario will begin to even itself out.
Well, Willie T. Ribbs, the service merchandise car, into the wall here today. In practice, the Craftsman car of Mark Smith into the wall. He's okay. Both owned by Derek Walker, who right now is with Gary.
Well, indeed, he's up in the scoring stand. We're just saying had a tough weekend with the Mark Smith crash, and then now Willie, you're here in Robbie Gordon's pit. You've got one guy running strong third. Was it a difficult decision to keep him out, or how much are you gambling by doing that, Derek?
Well, the car's running pretty good right now, so we don't want to get out of sequence unnecessarily. We want to try on stay on our schedule. So we're going to hang in there just like a few of the other guys and gamble it and run, you know, as fast as we can while we're running good, rather than make a change at this stage.
Having 3 cars has proved to be very tough already early in the season. I hope that checkbook's got a couple more digits there.
Well, yeah, you got 3 cars. You can always guarantee one of them is having a tough day, but they're doing a good job, and we'll be back at Long Beach with all 3 again.
Glad to see that smile always from Derek Walker. Thank you, Derek. Let's go to Jan Beekes.
Well, we saw how Mansell lost a lap when he killed it leaving the pits, but Jacques Villeneuve turned out he got stuck behind Mario Andretti and then just missed the blend line. That's why Jacques at the moment has lost a lap during that pit sequence.
That great. You can look right down on the Forsyth Green pit, Villeneuve's pit, the pole cam operated by Bunt Young here. Still clearing up some of the situation in turn 1. They have all moved away from that scene and are now starting to go back toward the service areas for the emergency vehicles. Paul Tracy is the leader. Emerson Fittipaldi is second. We should be going back to green in about 2 laps on board with Mansell. Look at his helmet, Derek.
New helmet worn by Mansell this year. It isn't a ride, but you can see as he turns his head, there are aerodynamic devices now on the side of the helmet to try and guide the airflow round his helmet and around the rear roll bar. It's designed specifically to reduce a little piece of drag and also to stop some of this helmet buffeting that drivers get on high-speed circuits.
Jim gives them the sign. One more lap to go to green. One car out of this race. That's Willie T. Ribbs. You've seen the full order. You ride on the nose of Robbie Gordon's car. He sits in third place. Though there are other cars in the lineup, Robbie Gordon will be coming forward pretty quickly. There's Michael Andretti.
Now Mansell is only 5 cars back in the order. So Mansell, remember, was very fast at the opening of the race. So let's keep a good close eye on him to see if he can attack Villeneuve and the Penskes and try and get back on that leader lap.
And tracking Michael Andretti as well. He is 14th, lap behind the lead of the race. The pace begins to quicken as Paul Tracy brings them back toward the green flag, almost at full race speed as he comes off the 4th corner. And on lap 41, we're back green. Boy, he got a good jump on that one.
That was a great jump, and it's such a huge advantage to try and anticipate that green flag as you come through turns 3 and 4. But there's Mansell. The first man he needs to go after is Villeneuve. And if he can pass Villeneuve, Villeneuve needs to hang on to him because he's a lap down too.
So the Lion is on the prowl. Villeneuve just ahead. Let's watch and listen. On the backside now, through the dogleg. Still in pursuit. Hasn't made up much time. But remember, in this lineup coming back to the green, there are some slower cars.
See how quickly Villeneuve went by Rahal? That gives you an idea how much horsepower that Honda engine needs to develop to be on par with some of these Ford engine cars. But I tell you what, Villeneuve is a surprise to everybody here, just how well he's handled himself.
Oh, Rahal's lack of acceleration can really be costly to some of the other guys and kill their momentum.
Rahal came here and thought that a good handling car could possibly make up for the deficit. Look at Robbie Gordon's slingshots round the outside of Gordon, outside of Rahal. But Rahal never really got a handle on the handling of this car either. Never mind the horsepower disadvantage.
Let's listen to this engine and also see whether or not he can get around flat at all. Fabi comes by the inside. So Rahal struggling. Now Gordon on the attack. Mansell coming forward.
Gordon likes to use Nigel Mansell as his yardstick. He knows how good he is and how successful he is. But Crash Gordon thinks he is just as good, if not even better. So wherever he goes, his yardstick is always Nigel Mansell. That's the guy he chases. Remember in Australia, he crashed trying to chase this man.
As you watch this, don't forget that Mansell and Villeneuve are both a lap off of the lead. And so they're trying to get their lap back. Now the leaders, Paul Tracy, Emerson Fittipaldi, the Penske teammates, running into traffic again.
And that was Davy Jones running an A.J. Foyt's car way off the pace. Jones, another driver who had a huge crash here during the Wednesday test session. He has moved into the 93 car, but he's way off the pace here. Emerson can just sit here. Look at Tracy make all the brave moves. Emerson can sit back, read the situation, see what's going on, because he knows they have 2 of the fastest cars in this race as they again move on the high side to go around Jeff Andretti.
But isn't there a danger for Tracy as well, and that is that if the leader comes blasting by a slower car, that maybe the slower reacts to the leader, but not to that next quick car?
Oh, that is the problem. Look how close they are, wheel to wheel. Great shots from the Goodyear blimp here. That again is Jeff Andretti in the Gillette car. Look how much faster those Penskes are able to dive down to the apex of 1 and 2.
The two Marlboro cars out in front. Al Unser Jr., the third Marlboro car, sits in fourth. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Paul, we mentioned that the expected window was 64, but the yellow was long enough that it has extended it now to about lap 74 for the Penske team. If we don't get yellow before that, look for those leaders then to have to duck in, and those guys who made the early stops trying to close on that advantage.
52 laps complete by the leader. Bobby Rahal has brought the Honda into the pits. The Miller car, you're taking a hard look at it. It looks to be routine.
Gary, a good point there. Yellow flag is the key to making the gamble pay off again. Look at Tracy trying to go around the outside of Bozell.
He almost got pinched to the wall by Bozell, and now there's plenty of traffic in front of him looking back from Raul Boisel's car. Camera mounted right under the gearbox. Those are the mounts for the wing at the top of the screen.
Well, you can't get much closer to the action than this. Jimmy Vasser goes around the outside. Tracy down the inside.
Tracy gets past Bozell. Look at Vasser. The 18 car, blue and white. I'll tell you what, he is sharp this year. Definitely a driver to watch. Fittipaldi now looking to the inside of Jimmy Vasser.
The Penske team really expected Emerson to grab the pole. He was the fastest man in the morning session on Saturday. However, he had problems with his pop-off valve, and Paul Tracy went out and blasted it and just beat Villeneuve to the pole by such a scant margin of 0.03 of a second. How big is that? It's about 3 feet at 185 miles an hour.
The battle is here, still at the front of the field. Jan Beekes, what seems to be the situation with Rahal?
Well, it turns out he felt a tire going down, so he ducked into the pits, changed all 4 tires. He's not sure which tire it was. He has the Goodyear engineers at the moment checking each one. So a low tire for Rahal.
That's good news. We didn't see them go for the cowling of the car, so if they think it's a tire going down, at least the motor is still operating. Jimmy Vasser now trying to move to get his lap back.
In fact, he has already made 2 pit stops, so Vasser's had his problems, but now he seems to have it sorted out. That's Brian Till in Dale Coyne's MyJack car that moves down to the inside to let the leaders through.
Let's go back to third place now. This is the battle for third place. Al Unser Jr. is closing on Robbie Gordon. There's little Al. You see him as he ducks under some slower traffic, and now is in straight pursuit. That's Rahal just behind, but remember, he's just coming out of the pits. Now Junior's in contact through the dogleg and closing.
Remember, Junior made the pit stop. Robbie Gordon didn't. So if it continues to stay green, Junior doesn't even need to make the pass here, because Gordon will have to go to the pit for fuel. When you have 3 cars like Penske has, you can take a gamble with one of them. They did it with Al Jr.
Now, because they did it with Al Jr. and the car is lighter, I mean, almost 300 pounds, the fuel load difference from full to empty. Is this car operating better now?
Well, Junior's will be heavier, because remember, he took the fuel on.
Right.
Gordon's should be considerably faster.
That's what I meant.
Yet he's not able to get away from Al Jr.
Ongoing fight for third place. Paul Tracy, followed by Fittipaldi, first and second.
Something.
Whoa, hold on to this.
Al Jr. takes the low road and Gordon takes the high road, and Al Jr. pulls it off. Something we should probably mention. You see the traffic jams here?
Yep.
The number of rookies we have in this race. When you race wheel to wheel at 150, 60, 70 miles an hour with somebody, you like to know a driver's style. Well, with so many rookies, the experienced guys do not know the style of many of the drivers they're racing with here. So you have to add in that extra little inch of caution.
So at the top of the field, Paul Tracy, followed by Emerson Fittipaldi. Al Unser Jr., the yellow has come out. We've got a car against the wall, and it looks to be...
It's a Penske.
Oh, no! Oh, my goodness, how did that happen? The yellow had been out for some time.
Jacques Villeneuve got high, coming through 3, up into the gray, and absolutely rammed into one of those stationary cars.
The yellow flags are out everywhere. We've got several cars damaged. We'll keep track of this, and when we come back, we'll let you know exactly what's happened here. Debris all over the third and fourth turn. Slick 50 200 Phoenix, Arizona. You see the damage to Villeneuve's car. We've got several cars involved here. A chain reaction accident, actually several separate accidents, all occurring in the same place at about the same time. Fortunately, all the drivers, including Paul Tracy, who was the leader of the race, involved, and Jan is right there.
Paul, what happened out there?
Well, I coming down the back straightaway, and I saw Hero and somebody and Bobby get together, and they just went up the track. I was up on the outside of them. I had nowhere to go, and then I was sitting there. I was about to get out of the car, and something hit me. I don't know if somebody's motor just clobbered me right in the side.
Well, that something was Villeneuve. Look here.
Be out of the race.
Well, thankfully you're okay. It was a scary moment.
Yeah, it was.
Thank you, Paul.
I'll tell you what. Hero is a very lucky man. Let's take a look at it again, Derek.
Here's how it starts. Teo Fabi right there. Touches wheels with Matt Schuster. That is an accident all by itself. Watch Tracy. Now stop it right there. Can we stop it right there? Tracy tries to avoid it. And look, he's in the gray. Okay, if we let it run on, you'll see what happens then. Tracy is an innocent victim here. Now it's a three-car crash. As soon as it all stops, remember the gray is the no grip area. The yellow flags are now out. The rest of the cars come around.
And next down the line, Jacques Villeneuve. Look at him go outside.
Now look at this. Now watch the impact. Stop it right there. Can we stop it right there? Villeneuve has now no grip. He's in the gray. He's got dirt on his tires from the accident. He now knows there's a huge impact coming. Watch this violent impact. That is the scariest piece I have seen in IndyCar racing for many years. It is phenomenal that Jacques Villeneuve stepped out and walked away from that Reynard. Michael Andretti said when he drove this car first, this is the strongest racing car I have ever driven. There is proof of the point.
By the way, also Dominic Dobson, look there in the middle. That is Hero. He's talking with two of the safety crew. He was the one in that car that was hit. Jan Beekes is right there. Jan, he looks like he's fine. Let's go first to Gary Gerald, who has Dominic Dobson also involved.
This was a scary, scary incident, Dominic. What were you able to see, and what can you tell us?
Well, all I really saw was Fabi up in the wall, and then Villeneuve absolutely T-boned him. He came down across, and there was nowhere for me to go. I was down far inside, and I was trying to get slowed down, and there's just no room.
And so much disappointment because you were been running so well up there in the top 5.
Well, I'll tell you, the PacWest team, my hat's really off to them. They did a fantastic job getting both Scott and I in the field, and we're running strong, and I'm just disappointed for the team. I know they worked very hard.
We'll see you next week at Long Beach.
Okay, we'll be back.
All right, thanks. Paul?
We also saw Teo Fabi, who was in the accident, walking by. Let's get an update from Jan.
Well, Hiro Matsushita is now in the ambulance, but we spoke with him briefly. He is okay with the exception of a sore shoulder. So another very lucky man here.
Well, look at that. There is Hiro's car. I'll tell you what, Derek, you can't say enough about what happens is all of the designers, the Nigel Bennett's, Renard, they all get together and they decide what the safety will be, that this nut has to be that strong and that bolt with this much shear. It pays off in moments like this.
That there is Matt Schuster's car. It is broken in half. They broke the engine and gearbox off the car.
Teo Fabi also in the accidents with Gary Gerald.
Teo, what can you tell us now from what you were able to see out there?
Well, I was trying to go by Gugelmin. I think it was Gugelmin, and when I was already in front of him on the outside, I think he moved over, and my rear wheel went over his front wheel, and so he just made me spun, and I went into the wall.
This racetrack is known for the fierce traffic, and you have to concentrate so hard, but sometimes I guess there's just nothing a driver can do.
Well, you see, you suppose that the driver you are overtaking stays on the same line, and when he moves, it's too late.
We're at least happy you're okay. Thanks, Teo.
Thank you.
Paul?
A lot of work to do up on the track to get all of the debris and cars away. Let's take a look at this accident again. Let's just listen. And if you can believe it, despite all that and this kind of damage, we don't have any one of these names seriously injured, if injured at all. But for the second year in a row, Paul Tracy goes out while leading the race. 200 Phoenix, Arizona, still cleaning up from a massive accident. You can see all the equipment on the track right under the Goodyear Bridge there in the fourth turn. Let's look at it again.
Watch this in slow motion. Racing cars are designed to dissipate the energy by breaking into little pieces. Watch this horrible impact. Look at the left front wheel of Villeneuve. He realizes he's in trouble, deep trouble, locks it up. Huge impact. Now watch as these cars break apart. Stop it right there. That is the engine and gearbox and complete back end of Matt Schuster's car that has just been ripped apart. That is what they're designed to do.
And to show you the danger too, that's what threw Paul Tracy's car over to the side, is this section, the gearbox and engine of that car. Now, down by that car is Jan Beekes.
Well, they're lifting that car at the moment, Paul, and fuel is pouring out from it. The methanol fuel is being diluted with water from the safety personnel. What they're trying to do now is to lift the back of the car so that fuel cell will stop leaking. But what they were doing while it's leaking was diluting it with water. That's what keeps it from bursting into flames. Let's check in with Gary.
And here you see Villeneuve's car as officials bring it back now, where they will take the excess fuel out of the tank. But look at this nose section. This is carbon fiber. Remember, they made a rules change a year or so ago to give the driver more protection up around the foot box. Thank goodness they made that rule change, because that had to be a huge factor in this violent crash for the young Canadian driver. It just ripped the nose literally off of there. That takes tremendous force to rip that away like that. It's very, very fortunate that he was not seriously injured.
That's Villeneuve's car, and we're not talking just fiberglass there. All kinds of deformable structure, carbon fiber. And the Renards, they seem to have the driver a little further back than even the rule requires.
That's right, and you can clearly see here the complete pedal assembly is gone from that car, which means Villeneuve probably at the point of impact lifted his feet as far back from the point of impact as possible. But that is a huge crash and a superb test of the Reynard chassis.
And look at the bent suspension members, and think of the, you know, it looks like a small piece, but it takes incredible energy to do that kind of thing. Just awesome.
Carbon fiber is lighter and stronger than steel. Lighter and stronger than steel. They build a survival cell for the driver to sit inside. You can smash it and break it, but as long as it doesn't get into the driver, you've done your job. Happily, we saw Villeneuve walk away.
Pennzoil team gets Teo Fabi's car back out of the way. Still fuel, methanol fuel, pouring out of that car. That is Hero's car. And by the way, this works with methanol. It doesn't work with gasoline. You can dilute with water with methanol and keep it from being flammable. We'll be back with more. We're still under yellow. They are continuing to circulate with 73 laps complete. Those are the skid marks from not one but several cars up into the wall. And obviously they have the cars gone. Well, they still have Dominic Dobson's on the track, but a lot of cleanup to do. They have to make sure not only is just the debris off the surface, but that there's no oil on the surface, no fuel on the surface, and it's ready to accommodate racing. Teo Fabi on the cart, IndyCar safety team emergency cart, as he's probably not heading for the hospital. He's probably heading back from the hospital, and they still are trying to pick up that engine gearbox assembly from Hero's car. So this is going to be a rather lengthy cleanup here. Let's take a look, if we can, at the full field lineup as they run. Now, let's remember, too, that we're talking about cars that are circulating under the yellow. So these interval times you're looking at, they don't count for anything. That's because they're running behind the pace car. Johnny Rutherford at the wheel right now. But look at what happened here. Fittipaldi and Unser Jr. are at the front of the order. So the Penske team still running 1-2 after some tactical maneuvering during these pit stops. The rest of the order we run down, and you can see that only the top 5 cars are on the lead lap. But some key players are gone, most notably Paul Tracy, and also, of course, Villeneuve, who had such a spectacular start here today. And we do have to understand why he moved to the outside after the yellows came on. He made that same move in the same corner yesterday while chasing Nigel Mansell in the final practice, and it trapped him against the wall. Look at that giant chunk. What are we talking there, Derek? Maybe 1,000 pounds, a bit more?
The gearboxes, the rear suspension, hubs, and the engine, you probably are. I mean, that's most of the weight of the car right there.
And that's what slammed into the side of Paul Tracy's car. He's a very lucky young man.
I am so surprised that all these drivers walked away. Now we can go back and have a look at what started this whole incident. Teo Fabi is in the yellow car on the outside as they come into turn 3. Let the video run a little bit here. He's on the outside, remember. Well,
good solid touch there.
Almost looked as if Matsushita moved offline a little bit and just hooked Fabi's wheel as he went by.
But look at that. Did a tire let go there? There's tire debris all over that. See, watch, you'll see a pop right at the back of the car as they see that. Look at that. Look at the left rear on Teo's car.
Okay,
what's happening
there? Let's go again. Now, is that the contact from Matsushita's car that blows that left rear tire? See it again. I almost suggest that is contact between Matsushita's car and Teo Fabi. And that started the whole thing. Now remember, this is 190 miles an hour. They approach turn 3. They do get out of the power a little bit, but they're still doing in excess of 150 miles an hour here as they lose control. There's Tracy. He's on the brakes. See the blue smoke? But he already knows he is in the lap of the gods here and gets swallowed up by that incident.
Certainly the most major incident we've seen, perhaps. Well, if you don't count Johnny Rutherford's accident here, that's certainly the greatest multiple car accident in the 15 years of IndyCars here at Phoenix. Remember, the first IndyCar race occurred here at Phoenix 15 years ago. We are at Phoenix International Raceway, the mile in the desert. You're looking down on a track that's running very slow right now in the Slick 5200. That's because of an accident involving Teo Fabi, Dominic Dobson, Hiro Matsushita, Paul Tracy, the leader of the race at the time, and Jacques Villeneuve, who started second on the starting grid. So the whole front row goes out in a single accident here. Now, early on, it was Paul Tracy, the leader, and then Nigel Mansell came in, took over the leader, and Emerson Fittipaldi has taken over the lead of the race under the yellow. So let's go down trackside again. Jan Beekes.
Well, we're standing by with Nigel Bennett, the designer of the Penske chassis. We just saw a huge crash, and it appears as though all the drivers are okay. How have the rules that have been changed and the way you guys have been designing these cars played in this type of accident?
Well, I think it's a bit premature to claim that the rules have stopped people being hurt, because I don't know what sort of accident it was. You know, there's obviously a lot of luck involved. I gather Tracy, a gearbox bounced off his helmet. I mean, that's just a matter of luck whether you get hurt badly or not. The cars are very strong. There's very good foot protection, body protection, but in a 180-mile-an-hour accident, you've got to be fairly lucky not to get hurt.
Well, what I can tell you is that there was a car that went and T-boned another stationary car, took a huge impact in the footbox area. And as you said, that played a huge part. Now, a few years ago, that may not have been possible until the drivers were moved back.
Well, certainly, you know, the construction of the cars has improved enormously over the years in all forms of serious motor racing, and IndyCars is one of them.
Now, there was also a bit of controversy in the past about carbon fiber versus aluminum and then carbon fiber. All these cars now are made completely from carbon fiber, and it does now seem as though that's the best answer.
Well, there are various composites used, not all carbon fiber, but I think a composite chassis is definitely the way to go. I don't think there's been any doubt about that for a number of years.
Thank you, Nigel. Gary?
Well, here's Jacques Villeneuve, who's just come out of the medical center. Jacques, first of all, how are you feeling after this horrific accident?
A little bit stretched, but feeling okay.
Can you tell us what happened? And the question appears to be, the yellow had been out, and you moved up high on the racetrack and then became involved.
Well, when the yellow came up, they came on the radio, and I was already a little high, and I started braking because there was Leyendijk overtaking someone, and there wasn't much room on the inside, and I was braking a little bit on the outside, and then I saw the two cars that were stopped, and I couldn't avoid them.
It has to be an emotional roller coaster to have gone from celebrating your 23rd birthday yesterday, qualifying in the front row, then the late incident, an untested car, and yet you were running so strong. This is an awful lot for a young man to endure in 24 hours.
Yeah, the player's Reynard was going fantastically during the race, and you know, it felt really safe, and I could move up and low in the traffic, and wasn't really, you know, trying to go like crazy, but you know, things like that happen on a racetrack.
Well, I tell you, a lot of people say this young man has ice water in his veins. I think maybe I believe it. We're happy you're all right.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Paul?
Such a sad smile, though. A young man at 23 who had the racing world by the tail and then involved in that accident. Still much to expect out of him.
It's hard to believe that in such an emotional event as this, racing drivers are so cool to come up with the corporate mention of the player's Reynard is the most important thing that was on his mind. But that is how cool and emotionless some of these drivers can be, and indeed have to be.
You know, one thing I think ought to be mentioned, we saw very close the Reynard and its strength, but you had all three marks involved in this accident. Heroes was a Lola, cut right in half, and yet the driver climbs out and walks away, and that's speaking to the design shear between the engine and the driver's compartment. And you have a Penske that not only got very hard into the wall, but then subsequently was hit by the engine and gearbox section from Hero's car. And also you're talking, as just mentioned, the helmet. Nigel Bennett said the engine gearbox combination actually hit his helmet. So when they work on this, they work together. They may be competitors out on the racetrack, but they come right together when it comes to designing these cars so that they will survive these incredible impacts. We're still under yellow in the Slick 5200. Under the yellow flag here, the IndyCars, the second round of the PPG IndyCar World Series, and our second yellow of the day. It's extended now 22 laps as a result of an accident involving Teo Fabi, Dominic Dobson, Paul Tracy, Jacques Villeneuve, and Hiro Matsushita. Gary Gerald is with Dr. Terry Trammell, one of the medical directors of the IndyCar safety team.
Indeed, Paul. Dr. Trammell has just come out. He's attended to all of the different drivers. I know the concern right now is about Hiro. What can you tell us, Terry?
He's really fine. He has an injury to his left shoulder, just what we call a grade 1 AC separation. He's still in there because we've got an ice compression pump running on it just to help control pain and swelling. It's a relatively minor injury. It won't keep him out at all.
And I know it was a bit traumatic for you and the safety crew because you were already rolling up there to attend to the initial incident when there was this horrendous impact.
Yeah, we were already on the track when Hiro got hit broadside, and it just showered the truck with our open windows with metal parts and plastic and so on and so forth. I guess it hit him hard enough that he knocked the transmission all the way across the track, and it hit Paul Tracy's car while Paul was trying to get out. I think that's probably, he has a little laceration on his elbow, and that's probably what did it, not the first crash. So.
Well, it's somewhat amazing then that everybody comes away with this relatively unscathed.
Yeah, I'm really thankful.
Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
Paul?
You know, and we're talking about there's half of the car, not the whole car, half of the car. What do you think the impact speed was? 140, 150 miles an hour? He didn't get that much off of it.
Exactly, and impact speed is not actually the key to whether drivers get injured or not. It's how that impact is absorbed, and we saw the best absorption of the impact. But the interesting thing is, do you realize that these Indy cars, before they're ever allowed to race on the racetrack, CART mandates a crash test. In England, they literally have a pendulum of concrete that smashes into the front of these cars to test how strong they are. But let me tell you, nothing simulates a real race crash like we saw today.
Still under yellow. Fittipaldi will lead when they come back. Allenser Jr. is in second place. It's not just the IndyCar safety team here, by the way. It's also a large group of volunteers, of flagging and communication people. And here at Phoenix, they're some of the best in the country. In fact, at 7 o'clock this morning, they're already meeting and talking out the day. And they help support these races. All volunteers, by the way. Now, Michael Andretti drove this new Renard chassis to victory in Australia despite some rough driving on a difficult course. In this track fact, Jan Beekes takes a look at that new chassis.
Race car designers are used to designing cars for the high loads of a superspeedway, let's say a Michigan or an Indianapolis, but sometimes they have to design cars for abuse that they might take in other places. Let's take Michael Andretti as an example. He drove this Reynard in Surfers Paradise, Australia, bounced it over the curbs, got airborne, but yet he went on to victory. Reynard says, we planned that. We did in testing, we put some strain gauges on some of the suspension pieces, particularly here on the pushrod. Then they went back to the factory, put this in a press, and made it as stiff as it needed to be for Michael to bounce over those curbs. Now, it's not just an exercise in making stiff suspension pieces, because if you made them too stiff in an accident, all these suspension pieces are really designed to crush to protect the driver. Now, obviously, Reynard, they got their figures right, because this car took a licking but kept on ticking.
And everything worked very well in Australia, but I can guarantee you everybody in Bicester in England that works and builds these Indy cars will be anxious to get Villeneuve's car back to the factory to examine in minute detail everything that stood up to the rigors of the racing and everything that may have failed.
All right, they circle now Johnny Rutherford in the pace car, and we're looking, it looks like we are coming back to the start of the race in just one lap. One lap now back to green. They will see the green flag on the 89th lap of this race. Now here's the way they line up. Fittipaldi, Unser Jr., Robbie Gordon, Stefan Johansson, they are on the lead lap. Mansell, Groff, Michael Andretti, Jimmy Vasser, Mario Andretti, and Scott Goodyear round out the top 10. They are a lap behind the lead.
And Mario is going to lead the charge here, so he will go 2 laps down very quickly if he does not get underway, because Fittipaldi is only 2 cars behind.
Now the thing to remember is all of these cars have gone through a lot of debris from this accident. Everybody's concerned about their car. Remember last year, Emerson Fittipaldi, after Paul Tracy's accident, as soon as they came back to green, debris damage to the car sent him up into the wall. We're ready to go again. Green flag is out. Mario, the leader of the serial. Fittipaldi, the leader of the race.
Look at Goodyear, goes high, not able to maintain the charge, not able to hold off Emerson. Now the charge and the attack on Mario. There's Mansell.
Mansell trying to tuck in, find position so that he can get around and get that lap back. He's going to be racing very hard. If we've had 2 yellows thus far, which by the way is the lowest number of yellows ever at this track, then one can certainly anticipate another possibility. Look at up there as Mario skates a little bit coming off of the second corner.
The car must be loose. The worst condition you can have is the car to begin to jump sideways on you between these concrete walls, and Mario has that condition. Look at the way he backs up and holds up everybody. There's Al Jr. about to make a pounce.
Junior trying to get up through this field. Fittipaldi's loose and pulling away. Junior wants to stay in contact. Robbie Gordon staying in there tight as well. He needs to catch up to Junior. The key here, though, remains Mansell. He wants that lap back. The car is fast and capable.
Robbie Gordon still in attack mode, but Al Jr. hangs on. Maybe this is the race that will give Al Jr. that little bit of confidence that he has seemed to lack since he moved to this Penske team, because he has not shown championship form yet.
See the distance there that Fittipaldi's pulled out. There's Little Al running in second. 3.5 seconds the interval. 3.55. Al Unser Jr. running alone now. Look way ahead to Fittipaldi. 3.5 seconds is an eternity on a 1-mile oval.
It really is. Jeff Andretti still rotates here on the 1-mile oval, moves aside, but Al Jr. is just running about 0.8 of a mile an hour slower on average than Emerson in the last 2 or 3 laps.
Last lap, Little Al really got caught up in traffic. His average fell off almost 5 miles an hour from the leader, Fittipaldi, as he handled up the traffic. And you can see, too, the dust that comes up in that turn every time they go through where the debris and the oil dry was laid down on the track. Plus, the winds continue to blow here. The American flag on the pole in the center of this track is standing almost straight out. Nigel Mansell, he continues to work his way up, Jan Beekes.
That's right, you're talking about Nigel trying to get that lap back, but keep in mind, if he wants to make this a 2-stop race, he has to stretch the fuel right now. So he has to decide, am I going to get the lap back now, or am I going to get myself in the right serial so I can make fewer stops? Right now, a lot of strategy down here.
Very good point. The leader of the race has just completed the 96th lap. Can they make this a 2-stop race? They can carry it just a bit further. It's very possible.
Al Jr.'s already made his 2 stops. Stefan Johansson, who's currently running 4th, has already made 2 stops, but Emerson and Gordon have only made 1.
So riding with Nigel Mansell. He's trying to get that lap back and trying desperately.
It was Emerson he followed yesterday in the final practice session when he lost control right there at turn 4. But boy, he got awful close again as he went down into turn 3.
Now Mansell comes charging down. That's Fittipaldi just ahead. Looking for room. Last time through this dog leg, Fittipaldi chopped him a bit.
Mansell is much quicker through there. On the acceleration out of 2, through the dog leg, he actually pulled more than a car length on Emerson. But I'll tell you what, that Penske seems to be very good as he turns down into the corner, down to the apex.
Fittipaldi clears the traffic. That's Adrian Fernandez, who is not in contention here. Long stops early. He runs 17th. He's past Fernandez.
See how quick that happens? I mean, Mansell goes right to the edge, slingshots out, wheel to wheel, and just flies by. Now he's got to see all the debris on that front straight. We've had swirling winds here all weekend, and some of the drivers actually contributed the winds to some of the handling difficulties they've had.
Fittipaldi, when he flashed across the line on the last lap, completed 100 laps, 100 miles, half the distance. The leader at the halfway point has won 3 of the last 4 races here at Phoenix. Unfortunately, last year wasn't one of them. Paul Tracy into the wall last year as the leader, into the wall again this year as the leader. Nigel looking for that opportunity to try to get back on the lead lap. But remember, it's not only back on the lead lap, he still has a mile of catch-up.
That's John Paul. You could see clearly he saw Fittipaldi and he stayed high. Now he needs to give Mansell that little piece of room. He needs to move high. That's it. That's it.
Good job for John Paul.
Drafted in at the last moment to drive Tim Duke's Proformance Team Low-C car.
So Nigel Mansell continues to try and play catch-up with Emerson Fittipaldi so that he can get back on the lead lap. And the Penske cars run 1st and 2nd at Phoenix.
It starts as pure snow on a mountain.
Back at Phoenix, no changes in the order since we left you, but Nigel Mansell is sitting now right on the back end of Emerson Fittipaldi. And still trying.
And he's desperate to get by Fittipaldi. It's not for position, but if he can sneak his way around Emerson and catch a yellow flag, he has a realistic chance to win this race. So he is trying everything. He's not as quick in the corners, but he is quicker down the straight. He's about to have his hands full and his mirrors full with Al Unser Jr. So he is in the sandwich here of the Penskes running 1st and 2nd on the racetrack.
Some decision times for both the Penske cars. We're looking down from the Goodyear blimp Eagle now. It's based in Carson, California. And it gives you great coverage. But look, take a look right there. Take a look as they move to the inside, trying to catch up to Fittipaldi. Nigel's still trying to work his way through traffic. Can he thread his way here? Well, that gives you a great perspective. Eagle, based in Carson, been providing these aerial pictures. And there she is as she floats over the top of the track here. Great coverage. And a great race. Nigel Mansell still trying to catch up. Once again, all of the drivers in that multi-car accident earlier have been pronounced not totally fit. Really only minor injuries. And that only really to Hero. So we wish him well. Possible mild shoulder separation. Look at the debris. The mess. Winds are really blowing here and blowing debris onto the racetrack. Moselle high. Look at Mansell. Mansell comes low, trying to unlap himself. Plenty of traffic there. Davy Jones to the inside. Jimmy Vasser sits to the high side, and Mansell is back on the lead lap.
Brilliant move. A brilliant move pulled off by Mansell. And he did it by lining up correctly and anticipating the slow traffic on the way into turn 1.
Nothing like a 3-rail billiard shot to get through traffic. Boy, you're talking skill.
He has patiently waited behind Emerson. You have to be so patient here at Phoenix because there's such high speeds here, and a small mistake can be a disaster. But that was a brilliant move, and that is a battle for position. Right ahead of him, Michael Andretti and Jimmy Vasser.
Battle for 6th place. So Mansell's going to have to be careful, recognizing that he is in the middle of a fight as well. And of course, you got little Al now trying to close down on his teammate Fittipaldi. A lot at stake here. Driver may want to be courteous at one of these points, but he can't if he's involved in his own fight. There's little Al to show you the distance back.
We must remember Mansell has only made 1 pit stop, as has Robbie Gordon, as has Emerson. Al Jr. has made 2 pit stops.
Here's Nigel's maneuver.
A good look. Now look how far behind he is. Emerson gets trapped. Mansell is high on the power. Powers past Bozell. And powers past Emerson. Perfect move by Mansell.
Back on board, Nigel Mansell. Kmart, Texaco, Havel, and Lola. The blimp up there. It's great. I wonder if Mansell looks up. Do drivers ever look up and see what's in the crowd or anything?
If you blink, you miss the racetrack. Never mind trying to see what's up above.
Blink, don't see that turn. You're gone. The order again. Fittipaldi leads. He just flashed across the line. Al Unser Jr. is second and a half back. Then Robbie Gordon. And then Nigel Mansell, who is well back, but on the lead lap. He ends those on the lead lap. Raul Boisel, number 5 car. There it is. And how about taking a look at the performance telemetry on this car? Is that cool or what?
Telemetry has opened up a whole new world, and Ford Electronics supplies this telemetry to us here. Look at the miles on the right-hand side, 173. Not as quick as it should be. That's why we see Bozell not...
At the lead of the race, Al Unser Jr. has now closed, and he is on the back door of Fittipaldi. They come under Mario.
Remember, we saw Mario in trouble earlier on. That car is loose. He has made 1 pit stop. Obviously, he's trying to make this just a 2-stop race, or else he would have been in the pits because he is running very slowly compared to the leaders.
119 miles complete, 80 to go.
In 10 years of IndyCar racing, Al Jr. has had 3 pole positions. He's not that interested in qualifying. But by golly, when it comes to the race, he is dogged when he gets the smell of victory. And we are seeing him now beginning to show the type of form that Roger Penske knew he had, and that's why he employed him.
Overall important maneuver in his career. Trying to show Roger and the rest of the world that he is still extremely competitive, and there is no question at all about that. So Emerson Fittipaldi, car number 2, runs in front the Marlboro Penske. Now in the pits, everybody has a feed from the computerized scoring supplied by the official scoring system of IndyCar EDS. And it's because of a system like this that gives them so much information that on a track like this, they can make the tactical decisions that they have to make. This presence of EDS in the computer system has really helped how they stage the race.
Tremendously. Can you imagine if we were in the old days when you took your pencil and your paper and you tried to write your lap charts? You would never do it because of the speeds, the variety, and the number of fast cars nowadays.
You know, there is only one scorer that I ever saw who could really, well, there are 2. Barbara Hellier, who still scores for Penske, and Betty Rutherford, Johnny Rutherford's wife. It was amazing to watch them pencil score an entire field with laps running at 22 seconds. Just awesome.
And even though EDS is now here, I don't think those girls are even in retirement yet, are they?
No, they're still flat out at it, and good. Nigel Mansell, you look backwards. By the way, what you're seeing is Emerson Fittipaldi. That over in the right-hand corner is just a little vent hose that just kind of bounces there. It's not a loose part. In the pits, let's go to Jan Vikas as Nigel Mansell turns down onto pit road. Jan?
That's right, Paul. We're standing by waiting for Nigel Mansell. Tom Wirtz is waving his arms. showing Nigel where to bring the car to a stop. We were right. He was having to save a little bit of fuel so he could make this window. He's just inside the window to where this will be Nigel Mansell's final stop. They've got the front tires off so far. They're not expecting any changes, but we'll keep an eye up on the front. Yes, Tom Wirtz is going just very slight wing change, only a quarter of a turn. Waiting for the last bit of fuel. Nigel's on the ground. Oh boy, he has to kill it this time. 14.7.
Yeah, there wasn't any question. He wasn't going to get that engine stalled again. Let both of the tires and out he went.
Oh, he's off the road. He's off the road. He's on the grass.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's a hard stopper.
He put himself behind the 8-ball on that first pit stop when he stalled it. Now he almost does the exact opposite with way too much enthusiasm, i.e. wheel spin, and he was lucky he didn't get collected when he got out onto the racing line.
That's a cold tire issue though, right? I mean, he had a fairly good turning moment going there and couldn't get it done. Let's take a look.
It was a cold tire. Unfortunately, it was only the fronts that were cold because they're fried now, those rears.
The rears are now fully up to temperature. The fronts are not. And now watch.
Now he turns in.
And
Look
it won't.
He's already out of grip.
He turns, it doesn't.
Boy, he has enough presence of mind to back out of the power to keep that car straight.
What?
And as he flies out into the racing line, look, it's Scott Goodyear comes down the inside and waves his fist at Mansell. Well, there will be words there from Scott Goodyear to Nigel Mansell.
When you come off like that onto the grass, what's the sensation? Like ice?
Like ice, like the water. And then what you have to do is forget about the power. You have to get out of it and use your steering wheel to just keep the car straight. That's the most important thing.
I wish we had a little telemetry on Nigel's heartbeat right now.
Car with the luminous red rear wing, that is Scott Sharp. He was exceptional all weekend here, all the way from the IndyCar test that they had Monday and Tuesday. Believe it or not, Scott Sharp, he was in the top 3 many, many times here. Just hasn't quite hit it right for the race, but a man with zero experience on oval tracks in an IndyCar, in anything.
As we watched him too, Scott moves up, makes a pass on John Paul Jr. and moves into the top 10. Now, as Nigel came out there, came out alone, spun the rear tires, a lot of exuberance off onto the grass, out into traffic, almost could have been a serious accident. It wasn't. Is this now an official call? Is there maybe a black flag in the offing?
I think there has been discussions of a black flag. I don't think they should give a black flag. In fact, they're not going to give a black flag. That is a racing incident. It's not something he did intentionally, like blocking somebody or anything like that. That is just like over-exuberance, which is part of the reason why Nigel Mansell is Nigel Mansell. That is his style. Give it 110%, even if you're on the racetrack or on the grass.
They decided, they did discuss it in race control, and because he was on beyond the blend line, felt part of the race. If he gets it going, keep going. By the way, his teammate Mario Andretti came in and made a stop as well during all that.
Now, I'm sure if you asked Scott Goodyear, should it be a black flag, he would have given him black flags and red flags and all sorts of flags.
He tried to wave it from the cockpit as he went by. Watching Nigel Mansell now. Let's go to the onboard camera in replay of Nigel going out of the pits. There he engages. Wow, does he? Now watch. He's going to start a turn here, and it isn't going to work.
Now listen to the throttle. See the way he feathers till he has it straight, and then he goes.
There's a good example of when they talk about how gentle you must look at that maneuver. Whoa!
Brian Till gets his doors blown off and his mirrors sucked
Emerson
off.
Fittipaldi turns down onto the pit road. Penske pits are all the way at the far end, and Gary Gerald waits for Fittipaldi's arrival, the leader of the race.
It's a poised veteran team that springs into action. The car comes to a stop. 3 times he's finished 3rd here at Phoenix. He's never won. Will he be able to protect the lead? We watch and we listen. They clean the radiator index. You talked about all the debris. He's off the jacks. He's rolling. 14 seconds.
With the stop, Allinger Jr. picks up the lead of the race. He stopped on lap 79, the same lap that Fittipaldi stopped on. So one would assume that Jr. will be turning down on that pit road pretty quickly. There he is. He's going to stay on another lap. 144 racing laps, 144 racing miles complete, 200 the scheduled distance in the Slick 5200. Now Al Unser Jr. due in for a stop. Let's get an update.
We're expecting that Junior will be in on lap 147, although the crew has just gone over the wall. Jan is right there. He'll get a good look at it. He's alongside with the crew, Paul.
That reminder, reset the meter. Derek, the reset the meter on the board, that's for the fuel flow?
That's for the fuel flow.
Doesn't matter here, though.
Right. The digital countdown on his dashboard counts the fuel he is using. So in other words, it would start at 40 gallons and count its way down. But Unser Jr. is now in the pit lane, and Jan Beekes is there.
That's right. Unser Jr. brings it right in on the marks. Roger Penske himself holding the sign. We can see they're changing the front wings. That was a considerable change on the inside left front wing. Tires are going on now. It looked like they added more downforce. Unser Jr. probably had a little bit of push. They also said, yes, they had something inside the radiator duct. 14.2, Al Jr. underway.
I'm not so sure that what was in the left front cooler duct didn't get right back in it. There was a piece of debris under the left front wing. You can't really see into that duct, but boy, let's keep an eye on it. Because if you cover up in this desert air, though it's rather cool here today in the 70s, you cover up one of those coolers with some debris and that engine will overheat right now.
In the old days, when people exit the pit lane here, you actually went straight to the apron, which is down on the slowest line. Now one of the improvements that Buddy Jove has made here at Phoenix is that inside pit lane, and thankfully it was there because it allowed Mansell to get away with his incident earlier on. And you see Al Jr. ducks down and uses all the road on his exit of the pits.
Robbie Gordon now in front. Brian Till, he just goes past. Now Robbie Gordon made his last stop on the 84th lap, 5 laps deeper than the 2 Penske cars. So one would presume that he can get another lap or 2 out of this car, and then he's going into the pits. In fact, now they're reporting up that it will be 6 laps before his stop. And we'll be back for Robbie Gordon's stop. Robbie Gordon.
He's out of fuel. Robbie Gordon is out of fuel.
On the backside, they waited until we were done with commercial and took it just a little too long. Robbie Gordon, as the leader, is slowing. Will he make it to the pits? I think so, but he's going to lose positions right and left. If not lose the lap, he'll certainly lose the lap now.
He's not going to make it. He is not going to make it around to his pits. He had a secure podium position for Derek Walker. This is a disaster for Robbie Gordon. I don't know whether he's going to be able to make it in.
I don't think so.
They'll have to go get him.
His pit is well down. His crew can come down and get him once he gets past the first area of the pits.
See that? He says, I need a push. I need a push.
Jan Beekes, you watching this?
Yes, what has happened is they have just dispatched the crew. They're running as fast as they can around the back of the pit. No, now they're back. So they must... Oh, they're just about knocked me over. They're trying to get back over the wall to do service on Robbie Gordon.
He'll be on the radio. He is telling everybody, please push me. His hard-earned 3rd place is slowly creeping away, and Johansson in Tony Bettenhausen's Penske, the Alumax car, now inherits Gordon's 3rd place.
They're trying to get Gordon out of the high-speed running lane. He's trying to get him to push harder. Look, he's furious. Now his crew joins him, and they take over trying to get him down into his area. They've chosen a pit that was almost down to the far end by the Penskes. And let me tell you, that's not easy. Over 1,500 pounds of race car there, plus the driver. Stefan Johansson, who was running in 3rd, came into the pits, and finally, Gordon's car makes it in. Al Unser Jr. gets 2nd place now as a result of this out. Let's go pit side, Jan.
Well, Robbie Gordon is here now. Of course, once they get the tires changed, they'll have to refire the engine. If you run it out of fuel, it doesn't start that easily. The interesting thing is he was actually not due to come in here until 3 laps. So obviously their calculations here in the Walker pits were way off. I would say it's probably a fuel pickup problem because they're very accurate in keeping track of fuel. At the moment, they're trying to refire Robbie Gordon, but at this moment, he's not up and running.
There he goes.
Yeah, that is the key. Fuel pickup. You hope that the fuel pump will draw the last dredges of fuel down at the bottom of that fuel tank. It doesn't always happen. There may have been 2 or 3 gallons still left in Robbie Gordon's car that the fuel pump just could not suck out and stick into the injection.
Michael Andretti was into the pits. You also saw Stefan Johansson, who was in. He was in 3rd place until he made the stop. And so here is your leader, Emerson Fittipaldi, with Al Unser Jr. moving into 2nd place. The 2 Penske cars are the only cars on the lead lap. Nigel Mansell is now in 3rd place. And this car was 4th until he came in. Jimmy Vasser, as he came into the pit, Stefan Johansson moved back into 4th. And Mike Groff with Honda Power runs in 5th place right now. He started 20th. Update on Michael Andretti as we watch out the back of Michael's car. Gary Gerald, you have something.
Well, Paul, while that stop was being made finally by Robbie Gordon, Michael Andretti also came in for his final service. Unfortunately, stalled the engine as he started to leave. Took time to get refired. Now back out on the racetrack.
Michael Andretti in the center of the needle on that one. Look as he comes back to challenge Fittipaldi. He didn't like that. Says, let's go racing demo.
Well, this is a pointless exercise for Michael because that is not for position. He should just let Emerson, the leader of the race, go by. But Michael never touched the sweet spot of this Reynard chassis here all weekend, having had such a tremendous run in Australia. He was so infuriated after Friday's practice session, he was actually shouting at his engineers. Now, not at them, but because that was just venting his frustration, because Michael was not able to show his talent here because he couldn't touch that elusive sweet spot.
Here's the running order with the interval. What you might notice there, Michael minus 3 laps. So that little show of power wasn't even to try to stay on a leader lap or anything. He's 3 laps behind the race. The rest of this field is strung out well behind, and Andretti is in trouble. And we've got more trouble again. Debris on the track, and it's caused some other problems. Debris all over the place, and one tire went over the top of that fence and up toward that hospitality tent. Mario Andretti sits low on the track. Michael Andretti heads into the pits with no left front wheel on the car, so Michael was in that accident too.
Can't see there what started that incident, but Mario had been running slowly, and there's a second incident. There's the wheel over the top of the fence, and we don't know yet where that landed.
Look straight up and down. Those are the suspension members from the left side of Michael's car. The tire out of the ballpark.
Both Andretti's out in one fell swoop.
So the yellow flag is out 3rd time of the day at the 166th lap. The tire went up and over the debris fence and up toward the spectator area. Looks like somebody is going to have a story to tell, limping, but it doesn't appear that he's badly hurt. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. The racers understand the danger. Spectators should never be involved. Mario loses it. Back wing comes off. Plenty of debris out there. Traffic closing.
It is still difficult to see why Mario spun and hit the wall backwards with that left side. But then the incident happens behind him with Scott Goodyear and Michael.
Boy, as soon as Michael's right front touched Goodyear's left rear, right up in the air. Look at the tire as it goes over the top.
Well, thankfully that tire, although it did hit somebody's leg, it sure looked as if it wasn't a heavy impact, and that person, as you said, he does have a war story to tell now, but thankfully we did see him walk away.
So father and son, the same accident and out of the race. We're under yellow again. Fittipaldi and Unser in front. Ready, watch, listen. Accident is ahead. Didn't look like Goodyear. That's the wheel that came off of the one car. Still hard to sort out exactly who was involved there. Derek, as we watch the same situation again now, let's consider it.
Remember what happened Villeneuve earlier? He couldn't stop. Michael cannot stop now. He knows he's in trouble. Here's the first impact, tears off the suspension. It's Michael's wheel that goes over the fence. And it is Scott Goodyear on the outside.
Look at him duck and turn away.
Oh, look at the wheels locked up.
Now, let's see where the wheel goes, too.
I think it hits Michael. Look at that, he
It
does
may have hit Michael,
contact.
and it was launched off the left front of Scott Goodyear's car. That was the launch that we saw that originally made us think that he got together with Scott Goodyear. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Well, here's Michael, and we're just discussing. Now, we haven't seen the video. From what you could see, I know you've been favoring your thumb. Something hit you there in the cockpit. Tell us what you know of what happened.
Well, I think the suspension pushed the side of the, went up against the side of the cockpit, and I just pinched my finger a little bit, but you know, I'm all right. It's just a shame, you know, we were hanging in there, and we could have probably gotten some points today, and you know, I came up on a sandstorm. I thought it was just a sand blowing across the track, and it was blinding, and then next thing you know, I just saw two cars were right in front of me, and I nailed one of them. I don't know who it was.
Well, after the euphoria of Australia a couple of weeks ago, it's been a frustrating weekend, but I guess the important thing is you're okay. Do you have any idea what car you hit or who it was?
I don't know. It was a white car. That's all I know. It came up so fast that I don't even know who it was.
Okay, thanks, Michael. Paul?
Michael Andretti, very disappointed. Look at it again. The official report from IndyCar, 3 minor injuries in the crowd. 3 minor injuries in the crowd, the official report from IndyCar. So we're under yellow. Here's the way they will line up as they come back to the green flag. 170 laps complete of the 200-mile scheduled distance. I'm going to talk Penske strategy. His second-place car, Al Unser Jr., just dropped into the pits for fresh tires. Penske cars, Fittipaldi with the lead, Al Unser Jr. in second. Only cars on the lead lap. Mansell is third. Jan Beekes?
Yes, checking in with the Newman-Haas crew, we have found out that Mario radioed in and said something broke on the car. So when Derek mentioned it looked like he couldn't understand why he lost it in the place he did, Mario thinks something broke on that Lola.
All right, let's take a look at that accident one more time.
We do know that Mario had been in trouble earlier on. He was not comfortable with that car. But the top of the picture there, you see him, he spins by himself and makes heavy contact with the outside of the concrete wall. That suggests something in the suspension broke. Maybe that's why this car was handling so badly earlier on.
And of course, the multiple accident looked like John Paul Jr. You know, whoever it wasn't his fault, but that looks like John Paul. Yeah, it absolutely is now. You can see it clearly. And that's what took off the left front. Let's go pit side again.
We just checked with John Diff with the John Paul team for Tim Duke, and they said, yes, we know that we were involved in something, but our radios went dead. We don't know what it was. There was damage to a right rear tire. They came in, made the change as Michael came into the pits and sent John Paul back on the track. That's all that crew knows, Paul.
Okay, that now fits. If they had right rear damage. And remember, when those tires touch like that, left front from Michael's car into the right rear of John Paul's car, they are actually going opposite directions to one another. So there's tremendous energy on this gadget, the tire, that's already designed to adhere real good to pavement. Imagine when the two surfaces get together, the energy that's involved. You saw the result there. Let's go to Jan Beekes for an update on Al Jr.'s strategy.
Well, you mentioned that he came into the pits and took on 4 fresh tires. It was not because of debris. They wanted him to have brand new tires. They made a front wing change because he said the car was pushing, and they said, hey, we got a lap on Nigel. We're going for the front. We want to give everything we got here in the pits.
All right, as they come back to green, here's the situation. 174 laps complete. Just 25 miles lie ahead. Emerson Fittipaldi is the leader. Al Unser Jr., you see him back just a little bit. He is running in second place. Nigel Mansell is third. Stefan Johansson is fourth, and Jimmy Vasser is fifth. Only Fittipaldi and Unser Jr. are on the lead lap together. The other two, well, Mansell's on a lap by himself, a lap behind the leaders. Johansson is 2 laps behind, and Vasser is 3 laps behind. So the battle is at the front. Can Al Unser Jr. catch his teammate? Here comes the rest of the field through, and there's little Al.
Now remember, Scott Goodyear is at the head of this pack here, other than Fittipaldi. He got a lick from Michael Andretti as he went by. He obviously doesn't think there's any damage with that car because he's quite prepared to stay on racing speed.
The trick is for Al Unser Jr. in 24 miles to try to catch his teammate and get around him.
This is Bozell chasing Stefan Johansson. Back to our 4 telemetry. Now you can see he's up into the 180s. So running faster than he was earlier on. Look at the RPM. Throttle position. 100%, 196 miles an hour. Woo! He's going quick.
We're talking a mile here, a mile track.
Watch the numbers.
Look at him climb.
Woo! Into the 90s again, front and back straight. That is how quick they run around here between the concrete walls.
Ford Electronics, by the way, working constantly on this telemetry. Probably going to see brakes, gear selection, steering wheel deflection, all kinds of stuff the teams don't want us to have. Now Jan Beekes, an update on Raul Boisel.
Well, what we found out is that Raul dropped back earlier because the car was very loose. It was stepping out at the back. Now the Dick Simon team has had a chance to make those repairs. That's why we're seeing those high numbers, but he still has not much time to move up the order.
And the very highly regarded engineer Mo Nunn has moved from the Ganassi team to look after Boisel's car. This year, he was within a tenth of being the fastest car right before qualifying yesterday, and then just lost a little bit of the sweet spot.
181 laps are complete. Al Unser Jr.'s job is to try and close. There are no other direct conflicts on the course, though Mike Groff is trying to close on Jimmy Vasser for 5th. We'll be back with more of the Slick 5200. At Phoenix, Emerson Fittipaldi is the leader. Al Unser Jr. 15 seconds behind. He made up 2 seconds on the last lap, but it's going to be a desperate drive if he's going to catch his teammate. On board the Rahal car as we take a look at the Valvoline race recap. After 182 laps, average speed is dismal owing to the 3 yellows for 51 laps. 9 cars out of the late race, though we've had 5 different leaders and 8 different lead changes. We've had a good afternoon. We've had some scary moments. Big multi-car accident. Second yellow taking the leader of the race, Paul Tracy, out. And cutting Hero's car right in half, though no serious injuries. Maybe a shoulder separation on Hero. The only injury of what was a spectacular accident. Emerson Fittipaldi leads it. 188 laps are complete. Emerson Fittipaldi has not won on a 1-mile oval since Nazareth in 1990. Let's get an update on Emmo. Gary Gerald.
Well, the Penske team backing Emerson Fittipaldi now likes that length of the margin of that lead, and they're concerned about him saving the car. So they're trying to get him to relax his pace just a little bit. They want to make sure that he finishes these last 12 laps. He's got a huge cushion right now, Paul.
Oh, shades of Indy. Bill Holland with the old easy sign. They slow down the leader, and the teammate comes up.
Let me tell you also, if the Penske cars finish first and second, everybody will be out building these new shark fins that Penske has on the back of his car, because for sure they'll think that's part of the reason why they're so fast.
Won't have a clue as to what the aerodynamics are really doing. We're going to tape one of those fins on. Last time cars finished first and second at Phoenix. 1984, Tom Sneva, Howdy Holmes. Will they be doing it again? We'll be back for the finish. Emerson Fittipaldi with 5 laps to go. His competition, his teammate Al Unser Jr., still right at 15 seconds back. If they've asked Emerson to loosen up a little bit, he doesn't seem to be having any part of it. Matter of fact, he just cut his fastest lap of the race at 167.2 miles an hour.
That is the type of confidence Emerson has in this car at this stage of the race. But Penske also using this weekend here the new BBS forged magnesium wheels. So whatever's new, whatever's trick, Roger Penske seems to have it. In fact, that BBS wheel is very similar to the one that they use in Formula One.
So Emerson Fittipaldi, the car number 2. And by the way, we are well over our time block here scheduled for this race. And we're not going to get to interview Emerson, assuming he is the winner. At the end of the race, we're going to be very, very short on time because of the accidents. Almost a half an hour, over a half an hour over.
And the second fastest man on the racetrack at the moment is Nigel Mansell. You see him on the outside there, around the outside of Davy Jones, I believe. However, he's trying to get by the leader. That will only put him on the same lap. So Mansell is in an uphill battle and a struggle right now.
Emerson Fittipaldi on the final lap of the run. Al Unser Jr. No chance whatsoever. A I'm sure were we able to talk to him, he would tell you that his Marlboro Penske was incredible and the Ilmor engine worked great. It's the job that it's doing now and has done all day. As Emerson Fittipaldi screams for the checker, Nigel Mansell moves to the inside, but he's still a lap behind the lead, and Al Unser Jr. will come across the line in second place.
So there is Fittipaldi acknowledging the victory. And there's the way they finish. A great run for Stefan Johansson and for Jimmy Vasser. The final standings, they are, of course, unofficial here until they are posted, but there should be no reason for a protest.
Races on this